Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid and another morning ramble. Can you hear that? Crickets. Do you hear those crickets? You notice how it's kind of dim and dark? I'm up here quite a bit earlier this morning than I usually am doing this ramble. And it's not even light enough, really. Well, there's enough light out. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning. That's why I don't have coffee here today. I've already had my coffee. I had my coffee hours ago. I have something else here. It's a water bottle, but it's a very special type of water bottle. I'm going to explain to you my water bottle here in just a second. I woke up at 4, just naturally. I always get up early, not always that early, but I woke up early because I have a ton of chores to do here on the homestead. I have more chopping and dropping to do, more weeds to pull, and then to lay down, of course, in the garden spots to mulch with those weeds. I have firewood to cut. We've had a very rainy year this year here in Virginia, and it hasn't rained for 4 days in a row now, maybe 5. So I've got a lot of firewood that's dried out enough to where I can work on that some. I can split some more. A lot of it that's been split for a while, that's dried out, can be put away. So I've got that to do. We've done our fall planting, so we've got to get back into those gardens and start weeding and mulching there so that we don't get overrun with weeds there. We'd rather grow vegetables this time around instead of weeds. We've got back to school shopping to do. As of this recording, we're less than a week away from the new school year. So many things to do. I woke up early and I was looking at my list of things to do, and I thought, gosh, which do I do first? I'm so overwhelmed. I've got so many things I have to do. What do I do first? And the answer came to me very clearly. The answer was go fishing. That's right, go fishing. Because sometimes when we've got so many chores piled up and we feel like we're so far behind the 8 ball with our responsibilities, the best thing to do is to go fishing. Does that sound irresponsible? Well, of course it does, because we've been taught to think that way. We've actually been taught, I'm speaking to my fellow Americans here, the most overworked, most under-rested society on planet Earth. We have been taught to think that if we even consider taking a nap during the day, we're lazy. We have been, you know what, I heard, this wasn't long ago, when I used to have that job there that I quit a few weeks ago. On the way home at night, it was usually at night, by the time I was coming home, I used to listen to the John Tesh radio show. A lot of you folks have probably heard that. He has this thing called Food for the Soul, all that. It's enjoyable because in between songs you get to hear some pretty philosophical outlooks on life. And he shares a lot of interesting statistics. And I remember coming home from work, and it was less than 50%, but I think it was more than 25%. Somewhere between 25 and 50% of the American workforce view taking a lunch break as an act of being lazy. And so this is like 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 American workers are concerned that if they actually take a lunch break, their supervisors or their bosses will view them as lazy. A lunch break. And you know what? When I worked there at the post office, it was the same way there. Every now and then when they'd call me and say, where are you? You know, while you could hear them chewing food in their mouth, and you'd tell them where you are in the route, and they'd tell you how far behind you are, and they'd ask you, why are you that far behind? You know, completely neglecting the fact that they were severely understaffed, didn't have enough trucks, all this stuff. And I would often say to them, you know, in a rare moment of weakness, I took about 20 minutes to eat lunch. Here about an hour ago, I actually took a lunch break. And then they would say, well, you know, you need to eat on the go. Shove food in your mouth while you're driving to your next stop at your next loop. So, I mean, there's an example I had firsthand of how actually eating lunch in the American workforce is viewed as being lazy or being irresponsible. Now, let's not even talk about fishing, right? This is just lunch. And naps, I mentioned naps, that's where it started. But let's take a look at going fishing. I have a confession here. Now, my family loves fishing. Dearly loves fishing. Daniel loves fishing. I love fishing. I grew up fishing. They've grown up fishing. We fished in the Philippines. We've been fishing regularly since we got to the U.S., except for this year because of the rain. And not only because we don't want to be out fishing in the rain, but because the waters have been dangerously high. And you probably haven't heard this on the mainstream media because this happened here in the U.S. and this happened in a very well-to-do community, but we've had people drown here this summer within miles of our home here in Albemarle County, Virginia. We've lost lives this year to flooding, and it's terrible. It's tragic. Stuff doesn't seem to get reported in the mainstream media when it happens here. And I'm not being political. You guys know I'm not political. I'm not religious. But I'm not a fool, and I do notice the obvious. If something like this happened somewhere very, very far away and some folks could make some money off of making it look like they cared about helping the people who were affected, you'd probably hear all about it. But when it happens here and there's no money to be made off of it, you never hear about it. And that's just my opinion. That's my view. I think it's tragic and terrible when it happens anywhere. It's very unfortunate when it happens anywhere. It's just, you know, I think it's equally unfortunate when it happens here at home and within miles of my house as it is when it happens in places tens of thousands of miles away. So anyway, that's why we've not gone fishing this year either, because most of our favorite fishing spots have been flooded, and they've been flooded all year. Well, we went out yesterday. We went down to just get a few groceries and take a walk. As you know, if you followed the channel, we like to take family walks in the evenings. We went across a bridge that crosses one of our, where we put our canoe in to go to one of our favorite fishing spots. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to get my family's hopes up. But I glanced over the bridge and I saw that the water levels are well, they're very stable and they're almost at normal. So my thought was, we need to go fishing. But I didn't say anything because I knew I had all these chores piled up. I had firewood to do, weeds to pull, chop and drop to do, gardening, a goat pen to finish building, the goat house, a fence to mend that goes around, you know, the goat pen where the goat house is. The thing's not in a position right now to hold a goat, and we're probably 2 weeks away from getting our goats right now if I keep working at it. And so I'm thinking of all these things I got to do. I can't go fishing, right? Wrong. I've been trained to think I can't go fishing and that I shouldn't go fishing and that I'm irresponsible if I go fishing. I'm going fishing. You know, like I began to say earlier before I got off on a tangent, there are times when we don't have chores piled up. We don't have all these things to do. And so we think, I think I'll go fishing. And as Americans, now this doesn't pertain to a lot of folks around the rest of the world, but as Americans we think, oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking about going fishing. I'm thinking about doing something I enjoy with people I enjoy that is not productive in any way as far as paying my bills go or earning an income goes or getting yard work done goes. I can't go fishing. I should think of a dozen other things I should do before I go fishing because I want to be responsible. I'm going fishing. The most responsible thing I can do today is go fishing. What is today? As of this recording, it's Saturday. My son's school starts on Wednesday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I got 4 days before my son is going to leave me 5 days a week and be gone 8 hours a day. And the days are getting shorter. It's late August right now. We're going to be setting the clocks back an hour here in maybe 6 or 8 weeks. I'm running out of daylight hours. I'm running out of time to go fishing. But most importantly, my son is 7. I'm running out of time to take my little boy fishing because eventually my little boy is going to be a big boy. And eventually my big boy is going to want to go fishing with his buddies, the boys he knows from school. A little bit after that, my big boy is going to be a young man and he's going to want to go fishing with girls he knows from school. They may or may not even cast a line into the water, even though they might be spending most of the night on the riverbanks. And in time, my little boy, my young man, will be maybe a middle-aged man that has his own little boy to take fishing. I'm going fishing. These weeds can wait. They're going to keep on growing, but guess what? So's my little boy. This firewood can wait. The goat house can wait. All these things can wait. I talked the other day about when we look at things we have to do. Ask, is it urgent? Is it important? Is it both or is it neither? Is it urgent that I go fishing today with my family? I've been trained as a hard-working, never-resting American to say, no, it's not urgent at all. Is it important for me to go fishing today and take my family fishing? I've been trained as a hard-working, never-resting American to say, nah, that's not even important. What's important is getting that firewood split and cut and dry so that this winter we don't freeze to death. We're not going to freeze to death. Me, as a father who doesn't have all the answers and doesn't know how to be the best father in the world and falls far short when it comes to being the best father in the world, I view it as both important and urgent to go fishing today and take my family with me. Call me irresponsible, call me lazy, call me someone who doesn't want to work. But I view it as both urgent and important to go fishing today, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we're going to go fishing, and I'll take the camera with us and we'll get some of this on film. We may or may not catch anything, but we're going to show you anyway. We're going to take you with us. We're going to take you out there with us in the canoe today. We're going to take you fishing with us, and whether we catch the big one, whether we catch the little one, or whether we catch nothing at all, we're still going to upload the video so you can see where we go fishing and how we do it. But what we like to do, and this is called, this is a method called jugging. You see this bottle? This is just an empty water bottle. And we'll take 6 or 8 of these out, and we tie the line off up here at the lip. As you can see, there's a knot, and I've got line wrapped around this. They're in various lengths, the line. Where we're going today, the deepest holes are about 8 feet deep, maybe 10 feet. The average depth is probably 6. So we'll run these lines out and put a little bit of a weight on there, and then we have a hook on the end. See the hook? Say it's about 8 feet down on the line. We'll put a worm on here, and then what we do, it's called jugging. We'll go out to the top of the hole. Say the river flows from here down to here. We'll line the top of the hole with these jugs evenly apart. Say maybe the hole's 20 feet wide. We'll put these bottles out about every 3 feet at the top of the hole, and then we'll paddle our canoe down to the bottom of the hole, and we'll just hang out there in the canoe, eat our snacks, eat our food, whatever, watch the deer on the banks, enjoy just being out there together, and we just watch our bottles. They'll slowly float down the hole. And on the good days when we actually catch fish, you'll see the fish bite the worm and they try to run with it, and they end up setting the hook themselves, and you'll see the bottle flip like that. That's what you see. You see the bottle start flipping, you'll see it go underwater. And guys, on these little like 12-ounce water bottles or 16 ounces, whatever they are, I've caught catfish between 2 and 3 feet long that weigh 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds. And these little bottles will wear them out in 30 seconds. So then we just row our canoe up to the bottle, we grab it, pull it out of the water, stick it in between our legs, and then pull the line in by hand like that. And we usually catch and release. Every now and then we'll eat one, but very rarely. But we do love fresh fish. Last summer, we brought a lot of them back in a cooler to stock our pond. If you watched the video last night of Daniel feeding our fish, you saw a lot of bluegills and turtles, but we have a couple of dozen catfish in that pond that we stocked in there that we caught from going jugging. Stuck them in the cooler. We caught one so big one time it barely fit in the cooler. It was kind of like bent sideways and sticking up out of the cooler. It was probably 26 inches long. I mean, I say 30, but it was probably 24 or 26 inches long. It's still in the pond. I see him about, I've seen him once this year, very, very early like this. He or she, see it up at the headwaters where the water trickles in from the spring. So we put 24 catfish in our pond that we caught last year jugging. So we're gonna go jugging today. We have not, we went one time and it was about a month ago and we didn't catch anything. We enjoyed ourselves though because we were out there doing it. And then the rains came again and the rain stayed. But the rains have been gone, the waters are back to normal. I have a ton of chores to do. They're piled up on me. I've got so many things to do. It's gonna take me days of nonstop working to get them done. But today, I'm going fishing because my little boy is 7 years old. He's only gonna be 7 years old once. He's getting ready to start school again. It's something we love to do together, and so I'm gonna go do it. We will never remember pulling those weeds, and we will never remember chopping that wood. But today, we're gonna go fishing, and we're gonna remember it forever. So if you've got a little boy or a little girl in your life, whether it's a son, a daughter, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, Or you know what, even if you yourself simply enjoy fishing, who cares what you've got piled up to do? Take the time to go fishing. With all this said, I've got some worms to go back here and dig up, and I'm gonna go do that. And before I do, I'm gonna give you a beautiful parting shot of the homestead. We'll see you next time.